Decolonization by Matthew Norton. The English Dictionary defines the term decolonization as the withdrawal from its colonies of a colonial power, the acquisition of political or economic independence by such colonies. Decolonization is specifically the undoing of colonialism, where a nation becomes independent. Decolonization refers primarily to the time after World War II when the colonial empire began to break up. The movement began in the Americas in the late 1770s. Decolonization became popular after both the American and the French revolted. The first to break from the British Empire was the Americans in 1776. The United States was the first group of European colonies to establish themselves as a nation and declare themselves as an independent nation. This was the known as the American Revolution. In 1791, a mighty slave uprising occurred in the French-occupied Caribbean island known as Hispaniola. The Haitian people gained independence in 1804 and became their own empire. Napoleon wreaked havoc in the Spanish territories with his vicious attacks in 1806. The economic monopoly in Spain gave the colonies good reason to decolonize. After many attacks by the British and revolts by rebels, most of the Spanish American colonies became independent and therefore decolonized from Spain. The Ottoman Empire was a dominant force that ruled for the majority of the 16th century. Cyprus was a country invaded by the Ottoman Empire in 1570. The people of Cyprus began to show a true hatred for the Ottoman Empire. They began to partake in revolts and large movements in search of independence. A merge between the people of Cyprus and the Greeks was a big step. The Cypriots began to embrace Greek traditions and culture. They disposed of all the Ottoman culture in their environment, disrespecting the Ottoman to the highest level. These actions taken can be attributed to decolonization. People were able to gain independence in the late 19th century from the Ottoman. The Russo-Turkish War was the final straw as the Ottomans fell and Cyprus gained independence. The next country in search of decolonizing from the Ottoman Empire was Romania. The Romanians fought on the Russian side of the Russo-Turkish War, and in the Treaty of Berlin in 1878, the country was identified as an independent country. Serbia was a roller coaster of struggles. In 1878, at the Congress of Berlin, the Ottoman Empire recognized Serbia as an independent state. Also being recognized in the Congress of Berlin was Montenegro. The thing that makes Montenegro different is they technically had been independent since 1711. They were given full independence after fighting the Bosniak, French, Albanians, and Turks. After World War I, most German and Ottoman territories were controlled by the UK as the League of Nations mandates. Egypt was the first country to decolonize and became independent in 1922. The Statute of Westminster gave 6 more independents in 1931. These countries included Canada, Newfoundland, Australia, the Irish Free State, New Zealand, and the Union of South Africa. Resistance began to break out as people began to see Britain as a link to all their issues. In 1947, India became the last country to decolonize from the UK, becoming an independent nation. Japan gained a few colonial countries before World War I. In 1945, when Japan surrendered, it was forced to give up its colonies. French colonists were angered by the lack of recognition post-World War I. The French had no intention to allow state rule, causing the colonies to become strong nationalists. After World War I, France gave up their colonies and independence was established. The term Third World was created by the French in 1952. This term was coined to mean represents everything, but was nothing. This term came to mean countries that are behind economically. Their economic systems were slow to develop, causing nations to be behind in technology and in income. After the countries gained independence, there comes a brand new set of issues. The new states needed to establish that they are a new state. This includes a government system, laws, a strong military, schools, etc. These countries were very inexperienced in doing so. Prior to being independent, the colonial powers granted little self rule. The new states had to create a constitution as well as an electoral system. These recent decolonized countries now had to develop a sense of identification. They also wanted to create a loyalty to their nation. This process is called nation building. The elements include promotions of a national anthem and flag. It also includes the creation of a sports team and creating a language code. When decolonization happens, the colonies with large populations tend to struggle more. The people living in these countries can lose property depending on who has control in the new nation. The new leadership can cause people who have lived there for years to flee because of a level of discomfort or simply a dislike for the new leadership. With a new country comes new economic issues. These French independent nations must develop a banking system, a national currency, and a tax system. Most colonies depended on the country that colonized them. Today, some decolonized countries have economic ties with their former colonial ruler. After gaining independence, most countries created a regional economic association to promote trade and further develop their economy with neighboring countries. There are many post-colonial organizations that were created to associate with their former colonies. The organizations serve cultural, economic, and political purposes between the associated countries. Although no such organization has become politically prominent as an entity in its own right.